I'm still in that character of like a crazy Joker guy who's in the cell just kind of going crazy, drawing up walls, drawing like ha 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 ha, like right, laughing. I have so much excitement bubbling inside of me and I can't show a single ounce.
I had the key, she had the ace. I was just like, oh my God, we just won. And I could not show any excitement.
The biggest challenge was trying not to be happy with everybody else.
Oh, that was so difficult.
But psychologically, she won.
In your head, you said, what's the craziest thing that I could do at this point? What's the thing that
nobody expects you to do?
The game wasn't on, nothing happened. He was like, first sister box. And I just moved, my body just moved. And I was just like, what the heck did I just do?
And so he comes back again.
Well, at this point, let's bring it back for a second, right? So her and I, because here's why I say we had a second deck of cards. I just do know that her and I played a game a second time.
Yes, with
Jimmy. Jimmy was not present in the room.
With cards.
With cards.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can't remember for why we ended up nicking the game in the butt, but we nicked the game in the butt.
No, I think what it was is she was waiting for the cameras to come.
She wanted to be in front of Jimmy.
And she wanted to be in front of Jimmy.
So we drew. Her and I drew.
Yeah.
And then she decided that she didn't want to play anymore. Okay. So we draw a second time. We don't look at the cards. And then we nick the game. And then we reveal the cards. And we'll talk about that in a second. And then we reveal the cards. And then we discard the cards. And I had went last time and nobody else went. So then I was just like, Maddie, I think you should go first. She's like, no, I'm okay. And I was just like, well, no, I went last time. You didn't go this time. You go first. You go ahead. It's okay. We'll wait. That's fine. We'll go to the bathroom first. And the reason I wanted her to go up first was I wanted to talk to you. And literally, if you remember, the only thing we walked in the corner, the only thing I basically said to you, I was just take as much time in the bathroom as you possibly humanly can. Because I want to talk with her. I want to have a conversation with her. And you go there. I don't remember if we had any, I remember we talked about something else. I don't know what it was. But you go into the bathroom and you take your time. And I pull her to the corner. She was like, do you think it's great? I'm like, I don't know what we're going to do, right? So we're just having this back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to figure it out. And I feel this.
I remember, I don't know if I told you this, but I remember in the bathroom, I was literally pinned up against the wall just listening to everything you guys are saying. So I heard the entire conversation. So when you guys had finished talking, I waited like maybe 10 or 15 more seconds before I got up.
Yeah. So no, we're just trying to figure out what we're going to do. And she was finally at the point where she's like, I don't know if this guy's going to break. We have to be ready to play again super last minute. Right. And then Jimmy starts giving us a countdown. Well, he's been giving us a countdown the entire time, but now it's an hour left, 45 minutes left, 30 minutes left. And I think at 30 minutes left, he stopped counting down.
No, I think he gave 15 minutes left.
15 maybe. Yeah, 15 minutes left. And then he stopped counting down.
At least that we know of.
Yes. Yeah. And we had no idea. And at this point, we're like, okay, well, we have 15 minutes left. We're going to push this to the edge of the timer as much as possible without wanting to go over.
And mind you, this is actually like up until that point, I have no sign of breaking.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing at all.
Not a single ounce.
No.
Of
if anything, you got worse.
Yeah.
If anything, you got more annoying.
I got more annoying and I got more sure that we're all going to go home.
Yes. And I think that both of us were like, if we are not successful in getting her to play this game,
we're all going to go home.
We're all going to go home. And that was because if you don't believe it, it's not going to happen. If you don't want to have 100% belief, it's not going to happen. And we just keep going and going and going and pushing time. And
it's just crazy how little they showed the entire 5 hours.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much more. I mean, we got so much screen time that episode, but even with us, there was so much that they missed out. At that point, Jimmy comes by. We call Jimmy. I can't remember exactly what it is. Jimmy's back in the box. So Jimmy comes by and then he reconfirms that only her and I are going to play a game and you're not going to play a game. I draw a card. She draws a card. Flip it over. I have a king. She has an ace. I win. She loses. Everything else, that rest of the part is played out on the show. So we don't need to talk about that as much. What was going on in your head at that point?
So up until that point, again, I'm still in that character of like, crazy Joker guy who's kind of in the cell, just kind of going crazy, drawing up walls, drawing like ha 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 ha, like right, laughing.
Joker style.
Yeah. And so, I look at you guys and I look at the cards and you guys both flip over and I see the ace and I see the king and it's so poetic because back a little earlier. When
Oh, but before the game even started. This is like the first 3 hours before any cards were.
this was the first game.
Yeah.
She had decided.
We're talking about the rules.
Yeah. She was like, we want to make sure all the rules are good and everything like that. And she had decided that ace
Is the lowest
going
card.
to be the lowest card.
Is the lowest card. And in my head, I was just like, well, it's not.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to argue it.
Because you want to say, I mean, she's going to say yes. Right? But that's like whatever.
No. That wasn't the point. That's not where I wanted her to say yes. I wanted her to say yes somewhere else. I wanted her to say yes.
I know. You didn't want to argue with her because
that wasn't the point that I wanted to argue. So just let her have that win. Let her feel like she's in a little bit of control at that point. That's part of it, I guess. You know what I mean? Let her feel like she's making decisions and that she's in control over this. And I let her have that decision. Fast forward until the end of the draw. I draw king, she drew an ace.
And so in my head, I'm looking at the cards and I'm like, that's crazy. And I have no emotion. I have nothing on my face. I'm just, a straight face. And I am not going to celebrate until I see those handcuffs on her. Cause you could just assume some people are going to play the game and they're just going to say, well, that. And obviously we saw in the episode, there's tons of people who play the game.
Absolutely.
And they just said, just kidding. I'm not going to.
Absolutely.
Which is like that. No, I know 100% that if you drew a lower card, you were going to 100%.
That was it. The game was done.
And it was just unfortunate, right? We just increased our odds. That was And so, I remember I look at it, I'm thinking, I'm like, I have so much excitement bubbling inside of me and I can't show a single ounce. And I'm waiting and you can see the eyes in the episode. I'm tracking her and I'm watching her hands go up to the handcuffs. And she puts them, on her hands. And as I hear the first click, my face immediately just goes like, "Oh my God, we did it!
What just did it? What just happened?
We just did it! Yeah. We are both about to leave this box."
Yeah,
and this was after 5 hours.
Yes, and 5 hours is a long time.
No, it's a long time when you're not doing anything.
No, absolutely. You don't know what time it is. The only thing you have is Jimmy as a countdown.
Yeah,
Jimmy's like, we got 4 hours left, 3 hours left, so on and so forth. You're not doing anything, and other people are celebrating playing Xbox doing that. We're just fighting for our lives.
Yeah. Just trying to convince her to play a game.
We're just trying to convince her to play a game. And so she draws the card, and immediately in my head, I knew what had happened. I knew, oh my goodness, we just won. So in my perspective, we drew the cards. I had the key, she had the ace. I was just like, oh my God, we just won. And I could not show any excitement. And in my head, I was just like, do I feel happy? Do I not feel happy? And that's when I put my hands in my face, or my face in my hands. And I was just like, I just need her to go put these on and move on. And I was just like, I feel bad for her moving on. I'm so excited. Or I feel bad for her eliminating. But I'm so excited for us to move on. I was just like, okay, let me compose myself for a second. I get up, I give her a hug. She at that point was like, before we drew, she said, okay, well, whatever ends up happening, we're going to tell each other the truth afterwards, what the plan was, if we were going to self-sacrifice or not. And I was just like, yeah, absolutely. She cuffs herself. She's like, well, were you going to self-sacrifice? It's like, absolutely not. It was not going to happen.
It was literally like, that's not going to happen.
It was not going to happen.
Like 100%.
And she's emotional and I'm emotional because again, this is my friend that I lost. And these are true, real feelings. And I was just like, okay, well, let me get out of here because I had so many conflicted feelings. And I come out and at that point, you've had your interview with Jimmy.
And that's obviously where I was like, hey, we're secretly, been communicating with each other.
Yeah.
And, at that point, it was like, for me, obviously, I don't know her. Yeah. So I don't have I don't really have any emotion. That's your friend. I don't know her at all.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm literally just excited. I'm not going to be like, whatever. Oh, no, I feel so bad because I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know her.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy to move on. And I'm just smiling and I'm going like, yo, this is crazy. We're both going to just leave this. And the thing is the biggest challenge was trying not to be happy with everybody else.
Oh, that was so difficult. So let's come back to that. Let's come back to that in a second. So you do your interview with Jimmy. I come back out a couple minutes later and both Jimmy is there and the audience isn't enough. So when we come out here while we're doing this interview, I'm just like, what the hell just happened? Like I immediately knew that was going to be a big moment.
And the way that the questions that they were asking, it's like they had made it seem as if our box was wild.
Yes.
And I mean, looking back, obviously,
we got the most screen time.
It was crazy, It was.
So. And I remember we finished up the interview and they were like, guys, that was mental. That was so insane. I was just like, what the heck is going on? And then we're exiting and now we're celebrating and you're jumping on me. And now you're like, we're geniuses, we're geniuses. And I'm just so like in shock of what just happened in those last 5 hours. When we come out to this like seating area, right? And this is, I mean, we walk out probably with 5-10 minutes left, maybe 5 minutes left. We walk out very, very close.
Yeah. We didn't know how close the time was. And the biggest thing, just to go back on the whole like that,
but yeah, no, we come out to this waiting area with all the contestants and it's just somber.
Yeah, you and I were both walking. You can see us walking outside of the little, bunker.
Yeah.
And we're both, obviously happy. And the second we turn the corner and we look at everybody, we can just feel just the dread.
Yeah.
And sadness.
And we're just like, we gotta cut this out.
We're both looking at each other. We're like, all right,
we gotta cut this out. And I talked about this earlier, but our group of 6 of friends, it's you, me, Maddie, and then we have another cube. It's Ellie, who ends up on the helicopter with us, 409, Bobby, and Ashley. And I'm looking in and I'm walking. I'm just like, okay, well, I just came to the realization a lot of people are out. I got to figure out where my people are. So I go look for her and I look for Ellie. I'm just like, because Ashley was kind of the odd man out in that group. It was Bobby, but I go in and my hope is Ellie and Bobby make it. And I go in and I see Ellie and I'm like, where's Bobby? And then she just gives me a look. And I'm just like, no. Because Bobby and I were like best friends on the show at this point. Like we were best friends. And Bobby had gone home. So I find out the story and I'm going to find out the story a little bit more that basically Ashley did the same exact thing that Maddie did and strong-armed them and Bobby self-sacrificed for Ellie to move forward, which good on him. You know what I mean? And yeah, no, I mean, there's tons of those stories that we went through when we're talking, we're looking at people and we're just like, it's somber because we're sad our friends went home. But at the same time, we just went forward and we just made this happen.
There's just so much excitement inside of me. And I'm sure it was inside of you.
Oh, absolutely. But
because we were waiting, we were in this little waiting area and we could just see everyone like trying to like comfort each other and crying and his friends and all that stuff. And I'm looking at you and I'm just like secretly smiling and just going crazy. And I do want to mention, go back to the results of the first 2 games. I don't think we talked about that.
Oh, no, we didn't. Yeah. So let's go over that. So essentially, the very, very first time that we draw cards, I drew a card, Maddie drew a card, you didn't draw a card.
I did not know.
We decided the game was done. We didn't look at the cards. So we had no idea. The cards were up on our chest.
Because I still hadn't drawn.
You hadn't drawn. Yeah, we didn't know. We weren't going to reveal nothing. Okay. We finally decided that those cards are kicked. And I remember I was just like, let's just hold on to the cards for a second. Let me try to convince him. Because that was all I was telling him. Let me try to convince him to draw a card. Hold on. Wait. Don't reveal your card. Hold on. And she's like, no, the game's dead. So we're like, okay, the game's dead. Finally. Okay, great. So then I look at my card and I was just like, I look at my card. I look at her card. I think I had like a 2. She had like an 8.
No. You had a 2. She had a 3.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something
she 1 by 1.
Something crazy type like that.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I'm just like, okay, let me use this opportunity to further prove that.
Yeah. Psychologically, obviously the statistics is not, it doesn't
has nothing to do anything.
But psychologically she won.
You could have won. You could have moved on already. So then we draw the card, right? Those are there. We kill the cards. We move on, right? The second time we draw, right? We've talked about this already. We drew the cards. She decided she wanted to wait for Jimmy. We're like, okay, well, let's just hold on. Let me go to the bathroom real quick. Let's hold.
She backed out.
She said, I don't want it. This draw is dead. I said, okay, that's fine.
Same thing
on the cards. The same result. 2 and 3 again, a second time. What are the odds? And I look at her and this time I'm giving her like you know what I mean? I'm just like, see what I mean? Seriously? So it just further to try to further prove a point. So we drew 3 times. The first 2 times, one of us was going home. Because unless you would have drawn an ace, it was probably going to be me the first time. The third time, she drew a lower card. And you can't even get as high or low as that.
The spread is wild.
The highest spread and the lowest.
In those rules, you got the highest.
And that's just crazy. The odds on that happening are absolutely mental. But yeah, I mean, at that point, okay, cool. We've moved on. We're trying to keep what happened in there a secret because we haven't even had a chance to talk to each other yet. Really, we haven't had a chance to debrief. We're like, let's wait till we get into the city and find a corner somewhere and then just debrief and talk about what had happened. And everybody's like, well, what's happening? I'm not a liar. I don't want to lie, but I also don't want to tell them everything that happened because we have to debrief him.
We have to understand like what are we going to do forward?
What's the next step for us?
We don't even know. Yeah.
So we're just like, well, she decided she didn't want to, these were the things like she decided she didn't want to play. We ended up playing. She lost the game.
That was pretty simple.
That was it. Straight to the point. That was it. There was just not a whole lot.
We didn't lie.
But I didn't tell.
Yeah.
I didn't tell all the details, and we didn't know what we were going to do. Again, we're still fighting for 5 million. We're still in the game. We still have to be very strategic in what image we give off. And I remember we finally get to the city, and we're talking about whatever. And now we're finally getting our excitement out because there's nobody there to see what just happened and see our excitement. We're finally getting that out. Cameras come in front of us. They talk about us all the time. And I remember that night I could not sleep.
Yeah, you were actually. This is the best part. Was we were sleeping right next to each other. We had beds right next to each other. And so I remember we were just talking to each other.
We were whispering.
Yeah, we were whispering
because we actually had beds right in front of each other. So yeah, essentially we were sleeping head to head, right? Like your head was right by my head. And I remember we finally get to bed and we turn over and we're just whispering. And we're just whispering. And I remember we turned over and it felt like we were little kids at summer camp. You know what I mean? And it was just, we were so giddy at that point. And I think the next morning, everybody was just somber and everybody's asking us what's going on.
But before you get to the next point, one of the conversations that was key was when we started talking, that was, again, when we're debriefing, mentioning what are we going to do next and everything. And I remember saying this at least 3 times to you. I said, the reason why we are here today, right now, is because I thought, what is the craziest thing to do right now that nobody expects you to do?
Yes.
And
because again, we're on TV. Yeah. We're making content.
Not only is it we're going to play to win whatever. The thing is you have to stand out. It's like, that's the whole point. Is there's 1 out of 1,000, right? So you have to be different in order for you to win. And the third thing was we're making entertaining content.
Absolutely. And I remember that conversation. That was very, very key. That was very, very important for what's about to happen. But yeah, you said, what's the craziest, because I was asking you, why'd you do that? And in your head, you said, what's the craziest thing that I could do at this point? What's the thing that
nobody expects you to do?
Exactly. Absolutely. Right. So next morning, everybody's somber. Everybody's sharing the stories. I'm trying very, very hard not to share any details, but people are pressing us. I don't know how this gets out. I don't know how people are like, well, what happened? Because I can tell people are a little like, what's going on there? You know what I mean? And people are pressing us and I'm trying to give details without giving details. And I'm just like, my excuse at that point was just, well, you guys you're going to have to watch the show. It's entertaining. You're going to have to watch the show. And maybe that was hindsight on me, right? Maybe we could have played it a little better. Either way, right? So then Jay pulls in the golden cube. We're all there. We actually start changing into short sleeve shirts. Because at that point, we've all been in long sleeve, the long sleeve Habibi jerseys. And then we start changing into short sleeve jerseys. And they start handing out hats. And I'm like, why the heck are we getting short sleeve jerseys and hats? And in my head, I'm like, there's an island. The island's coming. Because we know there's an island, right?
For the viewers, the thing is during the BC, the city, there was billboards across, I think we had 2 billboards on the city and they kind of gave like teasers of what was going to happen.
They were billboards. They were basically billboard advertisements and they were in retro 1970s style. And one of them was just like the island. And there was just like,
there's other stuff that we can't really talk about because it's like later in the show.
I mean, one of the things that on there was like the Red Telephone Company, right? Before we played the Red Cube was the Red Telephone Company. Obviously that's what it was leading to, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things was the island. And the island was confirmed because when we were back in episode 1, when we were still on our towers, they played a promo for us that mentioned the island, that mentioned the city, mentioned other stuff, and we won't talk about it, but mentioned the island, mentioned the city. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, well, next step is we're going to the island. We're in short sleeve jerseys. We have hats on. They're handing out sunglasses. They're encouraging sunglasses. We don't really shoot in the morning. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, well, something's going on. Okay, cool. We're probably going to the island next. That's probably what's happening next. So that was kind of where my mentality was. And then Jimmy pulls out the golden cube and we all kind of surround him by the golden cube. And I remember, and you can see it. I remember he's explaining what's going on. I pull out a thing of chapstick from my pocket. It's melted. So I wipe the chapstick off with my finger and I'm just going here. So I'm not really I'm paying attention, but I'm not, right? And he's talking, he's explaining. And in my head, I'm like, okay, well, we don't know if this golden present is good or bad. We don't know if it's positive or negative.
And one of the things I also mentioned to you was, again, I reminded you of the emotional roller coaster.
Yes.
So what are we at right now in the show?
Yes.
We are in a low.
We talked about this. Yeah. We talked about this, that it's an up and down and up and down and up and down emotional roller coaster. So in my head, the conversation that we had the night before, what's the absolute craziest thing you can do at this point? And at the same time, what's the emotional roller coaster? We were at a low. We were at a big low. So in my head, I'm like, this is probably a positive. And this is probably to the up. So I just remember we're just listening to him. And then Jimmy, I'm putting my chapstick on. I'm really not even looking anywhere. I'm just kind of like looking down and thinking in my head, putting my chapstick on. And he's like, the first person to touch the box. And I don't even think.
It's like gut reaction.
It happened. I blasted the people in front of me and it just happened. And I touched the box. I put my hand on the box and that was my chapstick was on my finger.
And I just like have this kind of like smile at my face. I'm like, you did that.
And I'm just
That's my
like,
brother right there.
what the heck did I just do? What just happened?
Everyone's in shock.
Because rules weren't even explained.
Yeah.
Rules weren't explained. The game wasn't on. Nothing happened. He was like, first touch the box. And I just moved. My body just moved. And I was just like, what the heck did I just do? And Jimmy, I remember Jimmy's trying to get a reaction out of me and he's asking me questions. And at this point, it doesn't show the show. It doesn't show any interview, nothing like that. Because in my head, I'm just like,
I don't know.
I just did it. He's like, what made you come up here? And I'm just like, I don't know. He's like, what do you think is happening next? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, do I need to spell it out for you? And I was just like, yeah. You know? So then it's revealed that it's tickets to the island and we come around the helicopter pad and the helicopter lands. And then Jimmy and the Beast team play a little promo for us for the island. And he talks about 60 people going to the island. And in my head, I was just like, no. There's no way he's going to make it pick.
Yeah, no, because you, I mean, it's very clear. You have,
Then I moved on.
Move on.
I have moved on.
And the helicopter comes and you see like what, six seats, 5 seats? I think there's 5 extra.
There's 5 extra seats, but he hadn't opened the helicopter yet. We were just watching the video at this point. And I was like, there's no way he's going to make me pick all 60 people. Oh no. So then we turn to the helicopter. Well, you're one person. Here's the ticket to the island because I already have it, right? You have the ticket to the island, but there's 5 extra seats. And I'm like, oh no, he's going to make me pick everybody. He's like, okay, here's 5 tickets. You get to pick.
And the funniest part was basically the helicopter landed. I could literally see like 7 cameras on me and everyone like looking at the cameras and they're all like different angles of me. Cause obviously we all know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Pick me up or some whatever. Yeah. And so I see this and I start smiling because I'm like, oh my God, I just made it to the island. We just did it. Like, boom, next episode.
Yeah, let's go. Move on. Move on. And yeah, no, I remember, yeah, he's like 5 people. You can take 5 people with you. And I'm like, okay, well, my brother's obviously one, but it'd be really, really funny if I didn't pick him first. And I was about to do it too. And
last.
Yeah, it would have been really funny. And I was just like, nah, it's okay, cool. Let's not let him sit there and think I'm not gonna pick him for the island.
If you didn't pick me until the end, I would have known. I'd be like, yeah, he's got to be picking me last time.
It would have been funny. So then, yeah, I picked you first, obviously. Because in my head, I could pick you last for a joke because it's funny. Or let me make a statement with what I'm about to do. I'm trying to be strategic. We want to be strategic in everything that we're doing. Honestly speaking, the entire time that you're there, I was being strategic with what I was doing. You have to be smart. And even though a lot of the games in episode 1 and 2 were luck-based games, there was some sort of social aspect that you had some control, some hindrance of control. And it was up to you. Other than maybe the tower building, that was an individual game. Everything else is a social game at this point. And it was up to you to try to control your narrative some way, shape, or form or another. So I'm like, okay, well, let me make a statement with what I am doing right now, right? So in my head, I had already picked you and Ellie, because you and Ellie were like the last 2 remaining members of our core group at this point. And I started thinking, well, who's going to be my third? And my head kind of goes to Ziad. What number is Ziad? You know? It's you first, Ellie second, and then I go, well, who am I going to pick next? I'm going to pick Ziad. Because 1, he's an Egyptian. 2, we've met him, we've been around him, we have breakfast and lunch and whatnot together at the city together. He was part of the Habibi, the unofficial Habibi squad at this one, because we hadn't made it official. But he was part of the unofficial Habibi squad. And I said, okay, cool, he's next. And then who's after that? And then I start thinking, because in his cube, it was him, Nate, and Sakura. And Sakura's out at this point. Okay, well, then Nate's going to be the next person. And then I said, okay, well, I have 1 person left. Who am I going to pick? I didn't remember. I didn't know. I had a lot of choice.
Yeah.
I had a lot of choice. And a lot of people were trying to get my attention as I come up. And
they didn't show this in the show.
No.
So many
I'd
people.
come up and I'd have the mic in my hand and they're like, okay, who are you going to pick next? And everybody's like, Karim, pick me.
It's like the definition of pick. The definition.
But I was just like, okay, cool. I have to be very, very strategic in how I pick this because it's only 5. I want to pick everybody. And there's a lot of people out there that I wish I could have picked. I mean, JC up until that point was still out there and he was in my bribery tower, my bribery row.
Yeah.
In
Now, JC's a great guy.
He is. Oh, fantastic. And I saw him. I remember seeing him specifically because he's like Karim, and he's throwing the hook shot over. And I was just like, JC would make a very, very smart decision, and it'll make a lot of sense because we made it that far without taking a break together. And I just remember that point. But then
just for some input, actually, when we were all discussing, I think you came to us.
Oh yeah. I could not make a decision, right? So then I come to you guys. I'm like, guys, who do we think should be the sixth person? Because I was truly having a hard time making a decision. At the same time, I also wanted everybody else in the group to feel like they were part of the decision as well. And almost immediately, Ziad was just like, pick Twan. I was just like, yeah, that makes sense. Right? She was our captain. She didn't take the million. Because Ziad, Nate, you and myself, who were all on the same floor, and we were on this. Tawana was our captain, all four of us. Ellie was only on my house. She was Effie. She was painting. All of us were on the orange team. We're in the orange tower with Tawana being a captain, and she didn't take the million for us. So, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. And in my head, I was just like, well, that's a very strategic person to pick. She's good physically. She's liked by a lot of people. She's trusted by a lot of people. Let's put her on a helicopter. But it makes sense to get back to her as well. And I had a whole speech that only showed a little bit part of the speech, but I had a whole speech, and we picked her, and she was just like, yeah, let's go. That was really the first time
she was really happy.
She did not see that. She did not expect that coming. And I'm happy that we did, because that was really the first time I had kind of started talking to Tawana. And we had made a Habibi cult at that point, right? So we all had Habibi nicknames. So you, Ziad, and myself were Zaid Zaatar Zapoon, which for the audience, Zayt is oil, Zaatar is zaatar, and Zapoon is olives. And those are very Arabic Egyptian dishes. Like, that's a common thing to have with breakfast. And then, so it'd be Habibi Zayt, Habibi Zaatar, Habibi Zapoon. And then we had other Habibis in our quote unquote cult, right? It's not an actual cult, but it was a joke. So like, Ellie 409, she was Habibi Biscota. And then Nate was Habibi Fino. Habibi Biscota is like Habibi Cookie. And then Habibi Fino is, is pita, but he went Fino for short. Remember, we get up the helicopter, we're excited, we're going to the island, blah, 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 we got our GoPros going, and then we induct Tawana. And then what's her nickname going to be? We call her T, right? Yeah. And T is Shay. Shay in Arabic is T. So we call her Habibi Tawana, Habibi Shay. And so that was the first official part of Habibi Squad. That was the Habibi Squad. And I remember after that part, we get to the next loading area for us, and we're sitting down, and we're just like, guys, we're going to the island, guys, because we're the first group. Nobody had come up yet. We're the first group, guys. We're going to the island, and we sit in AC. We're getting cold drinks and stuff like that, and guys, we're going to the island. So then we're trying to be strategic. We're happy with each other, but then now we're trying to be strategic in how we're going to receive the next group of people, because next group, we don't know what's happening.
We don't know anything.
We don't know anything. So it's like, okay, well, how are we going to receive these people? And we're like, okay, well, we got to be very, very careful. I'll let them explain. We got to let them talk first and explain, so we can feel the vibe first of what we got to do. And I remember the next group of people, now we won't say anything at this point, but the next group of people come, and they're just super excited that they're going to go. And I'm like, yeah, let's party. So it was a whole party. It was good vibes. We finally changed into our regular clothes, and then they bust us out at that point. So
that's pretty much the entire experience of us in episode 3.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel? How do you feel now that it's out? I mean,
like I said, I mean, it's crazy the fact that we got so much screen time. I didn't realize how much screen time it was going to be. And it's also funny just of how you actually get to be on the receiving end of internet culture, of internet hate.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Now, it's a small taste of like what the big influencers
get. But it's hilarious.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
I personally think it's funny how much time people have on their hands.
It's crazy. It's like, there's this one guy on Reddit that wrote an entire essay
about me and you, but primarily about me.
It's crazy. Yeah. Like, what? Like, don't you have a life?
Yeah, but strategic, and I would have done this in this situation, that situation. But it's like, but you weren't in that situation. With all due respect, actually, with all due not respect, you weren't on the show. You didn't make it to the show.
You didn't get to compete for 5 million.
You didn't make it to the show. You didn't have the decision that you were going to make at that point. And no, I think it's funny. So I mean, we're both leaning into it. And I mean, if you have anything to say, do you have anything to say to the camera, to the audience out there?
No.
No. But yeah,
we'll just see what happens next episode.
You'll enjoy episode 4, that's for sure.